Okay, welcome back, everyone, as we continue our Motzei Shabbos marathon with our second blot, starting on the bottom line of Daf Samach Aleph Amud Beis. And as Mark mentioned, I am putting shiurim every day on YouTube. Actually, it's not as easy as it might seem. If you look, I had shiurim there from Bereshis 5777 and Bereshis 5775. I actually do not have saved all those shiurim. What I do is a tedious process. I have in contact with one of TorahAnytime.com's programmers in Eretz Yisrael. And I made up with her that I'll send her 6 numbers from the shiurim every week, and she'll send me the files. And then I take those files and I put them on YouTube. So it is a tedious process, but it's well worth it. As like I was looking at one of those Breishis shiurim had 107 views, and you know, some of them have 160 views. So even on YouTube, which is relatively new, we're getting a lot of views. So you know, when I ask people to sponsor a share, when they sponsor a share, some of the shiurim that are the Wednesday night share, which is viewed on TorahAnytime.com on Thursday evening at 9, I got stats from TorahAnytime.com. Sometimes 600 people are watching that share, and it's also heard, of course, on Facebook, on Kol Lashon, on TorahAnytime.com in the archives, on Torah Communications Network, and now on YouTube. So again, I really don't want to be a burden on my circle of like 100 inner Talmidim that keep on sponsoring the shiurim. I want to try to get new people to sponsor a share. 718-916-3100, rmmwsi@aol.com. Now,
stand over here discussing Balkoicha. What are they discussing? It says Moshe B'Sinai. It says that Pan Yafle Kaseisa, you can't take Balkoicha. If you don't want it, you can't take Balkoicha.
Well, we might think that from the house of Lavan to save her, you might be able to. Remember,
that's a different case by Lavan, but
right. Well, that's what we're talking. So, but that's what. No. This is talking about Yitzchak and Rivka. It's not talking about Moshe Rabbeinu.
But also the one that teach what now you should do. You understand? we're not talking about.
No, we're not. Saba.
Now you should do the right thing.
No, Saba. That's not what we're learning. We're just learning about Tanai Kafel now. Of course, you can't take a girl Bal Karcha. That's Pashat. By Rivka was a chiddush that maybe Eliezer should take her Bal Karcha. Therefore, the Torah has to say no, you can't. Okay, Rabbi said we're holding in the bottom line of Daf Samach Aleph Amud Beis. So it says over there, in the case that we rebel, the pasuk says an interesting lashon. It says cherev tu'uklu. You'll be devoured, you'll be consumed by the sword. Now the diak over here is it should have said b'cherev tu'uklu, if it actually meant with the sword. So it means something else. So my cherev tu'uklu, you'll be consumed by the sword. Amar Rava, this is that you will be fated to have poverty, and you'll only have to eat milcha galanisa, coarse salt, nama desare, barley bread, nama desare akusha, hard barley bread, ubutzale, and onions. That will be your fear. That's hard for the body. That kind of diet is hard for the body, like a sword. Bread baked in a big oven that's dry, b'melech with salt, ubetzalim, and onions, koshim leguf kecharevis. It's bad for the body like a sword. And by the way, I should tell you that, you know, when we put on our tefillin shel yad, we say that we put it ala yad lezichron zroya netuya. We say that every morning. That it's a kavanah in the tefillin. So the Gemara, it says in the Haggadah, Zroya netuya zu acherev. That's a sword. The problem is, where do we have the sword? In the Makis in Mitzrayim. What does it mean? Zroya netuya zu acherev. So the Pe'er Aaron, Hashem Yimkim Damo, he said, actually it's the Dvar Aaron, it's all the same Mechaber. He says in his Pirush to the Haggadah that, because I know you're all preparing for Pesach, he says in the Dvar Aaron that it refers to the Makas B'chayris, because Makas B'chayris, it says that Hashem will kill, he'll do hereg to the B'chayrim. And hereg is cherev, is a sword. So he learns it's simply referring to Makas B'chayris. Rav Chaim, in his Pirush on Shmais, Rav Chaim learns that it's very interesting. He says that the Medrash says that when the waves hit the Mitzrim at the Yam Suf, they felt like swords. So therefore he says that the Zroya Netuya Zu Acherev is the waves that hit the Mitzrim in the Yam Suf. This is Mamish Kavana for Tefillin every morning. Then he says also that when they were in the Yam Suf, the Malachim threw chitzim, threw spears that are like swords at the Egyptians. So that's also swords. So I'm giving you something to think about when you put on the Tefillin. The Gemara says, Bishleim el Reb Chanina ben Gamliel, Hainu dichsiv im loy shochav ish oisach, if a man doesn't sleep with you, ve'im loy sotis tumas tachas ishech, and if you don't stray, if you did, excuse me, im loy shochav ish oisach, if no man slept with you the saita, ve'im loy sotis tumas tachas ishech, and if you didn't stray in adultery instead of your husband, hinaki, you'll be cleaned. It doesn't say the other way around, but if you did, you're going to get zapped. El Remeir, it should say the other way, hinaki mebayle, that if you don't, you're going to choke. Amrav Tanchim, that's why it says hinaki ksiv without a yud, and hey and ches is interchangeable, so you could read it hinaki, you could read it the other way around. So Bishleim el Reb Meir Ainu Dechsiv Chinaki el Reb Chanina ben Gamliel. Why does it have to say it in a way that it can be read both ways? Lamali says the Gemara. Itzrich sol kedai techamina iloi shakav ish hinaki. But the im shakav. But if a person did sleep with her, loi hinaki, it won't be. She won't be declared innocent. But v'loi hinaki, she won't be choked. Elisur ba'alma. She had done a terrible thing. Kamash Malan, that if not, she's going to choke. Bishleim el Reb Meir, Hainu Dichsiv, it says by the paraduma, by the ash of the paraduma, which we have to spray on somebody that became a tamei mace on the 3rd and the 7th day, it says, Hu yischata by b'yom hashlishi u b'yom hashvi yitar. If you spray him on the 3rd and the 7th day, he'll be tar. V'im lo yischata, if you don't do it on the 3rd and the 7th day, then he won't be tar. So he has to say it both ways. You need a Tanai Kafel. El Reb Chanina ben Gamliel lamali, but according to Reb Chanina ben Gamliel, why does it have to say it both ways? So here the Gemara says, Itzrich. Sol kadaita chamina, the preferable purification is mitzvah azah b'shlishi u'b'shvi, is on the 3rd and the 7th. But if you only do one, but the evidence good, like you go to the mikveh once. If you do it on one of it, Kamash Malan, that no. If you don't do it on both on the 3rd and the 7th, it's no good. Now, why does it have to say again, V'hiza Torah la tamei b'yom hashlishi b'yom hashvi lamali? Why does it have to repeat it? You know why? I might think it's Tzrich Chamina Shlishi Lemute Sheni and Shvi Lemute Shishi. So you need to have 3 and 7, not 2 and 7. you need to have 3 and 7 and not 3 and 6. Because the kamamate b'mei tara. Because if you do it, you're diminishing the days of tara. Aval heicha da'avid b'shlishi u b'shmini. If you do it on the 3rd and the 8th, such a sequence, maybe that's good. The kamapish b'mei tara, a meshaperdami. So it says, no, you can't have a gap of 5 days. It has to be 3 and 7. If you have a gap of 5 days, you got to do it over again. You got to do another 3 and 7. Kamash Malan. Now, why does it have to say v'chitoi b'yom hashvi'i lamali? It repeats again that you have to spray him with the water with the ash on the 7th day. Oh, that's coming to tell me maybe you only need to have the tara of the water of lustration, the meichatas, to eat kachim. Maybe you don't need it to eat truma. So that you need the 3 and 7 for kachim. Aval truma, but for truma maybe it's enough just to do on the 3rd day. B'chad nami sagya kamash malan, that for truma also you need the 3rd and the 7th day. Okay, completely new subject, Rabbi say. Completely new subject. As we're moving on, covering a lot of territory on Motzi Shabbos, getting ready that our learning should be a schus. Should be a schus. And I mentioned on Shabbos that my cousin Rav Asher Weiss said he had a soldier come into him for a bracha. Soldier said his wife is 6 months pregnant and he's being sent to the Gaza. So he wanted for my cousin a bracha that he should come back to see his new child. He shouldn't die, Rahman al-San, and never get to see his new child. It's heartbreaking. The magnitude of thinking about davening for 360,000 people that are reservists. Mim Libby, Aleh Shalom, has a sister in Eretz Yisrael. Her name is Hindi. And after many years, she has 6 children. And her baby, not many of you, it's true, not many of you. I don't know if anybody. Wow. I said, Cavalier, Ruven Pollack is not here, right? Mel, do you remember my first shver? I don't think so. You do? Oh, Mel, you knew him from the east side. Yeah, so anyway, my shver lived by me, and he passed away in my... Yeah. So he lived by me in the last 2 years in Staten Island. He passed away in my house at 151 Rupert Avenue. And they had a child afterwards that they named after him. His name was Aaron Gelbter. Their Ari, who I knew as a little baby, is now in the South working in intelligence. Army intelligence. It's staggering. Everybody has... we have here in the shul a wonderful man by the name of Mr. Blumenfeld. He came sometimes to the daf. He has a granddaughter in the IDF. It's Abi lost a relative in the IDF.
Flagman has a grandchild.
Huh?
He's special services, a grandchild.
Who?
Mr. Flagman.
Oh, Mr. Flagman.
Rabbi, I have 4 in.
Wow, Mo has four grandchildren. Wow.
The way I look at what's going on now, this is a gezerah like by Human.
Okay, all right, Saba.
It comes out from there,
Yeah.
from Persia.
Yeah. Okay, the mice is...
We got to pray for everybody.
Lamai says we're going to learn that they should all be protected. That's the point that I'm making. So new Mishnah, Hamakadesh is a Isha. Here, Marshall, who's been very quiet, Marshall is Makadesh and Isha. V'amar kisavara yisi she kenes. He wakes up and he says, I thought she was a kenes. V'hari Levia, she's only a regular Levi. Or Levia, I thought she was Levia. I don't want to live with the hoity-toity people. V'hari kenes. Aniya, I thought she was poor. I thought she was low maintenance. V'hari Ashira, she's wealthy. She forget it. She's going to eat me out of house and home. Ashira, I thought she was wealthy and I could close my shop. V'hari Aniya. And it turns out that she's a pauper. Harizuma Kadeshes. He can't wake up and say, I thought. Harizuma Kadeshes. He's married to her. Why? She didn't mislead him. See, if she said she was a kenes and turns out to be she's not, that would be a mekach. If he said, I want you to be a kohen, then it would be a tanai. Here, he only thought it. Thought it is dvarim shebelev. Dvarim shebelev einam dvarim. Now here, Chatzkel says to a woman, Hariyat mikudeshes li la'achar she'is gayer. After I become a yid. He's a guy. He says, I'm betrothing you after I become a ger. Oh, she's a guy. And he says, I'm betrothing you now, la'achar she'tis gairi, after you become a ger. La'achar she'ishtachar. Chatzkel is a Evet Kanani. He says, after I'm freed and I become a yid, you should be betrothed to me now. She's a shifcha. And he says, after you're freed, I'm betrothing you now. She's a married woman. Marshall. She's a married woman.
I can't help myself.
He's a married woman, and he says, look, after your husband dies, you're betrothed to me. Chatzkel is married to Rachel, and he says to Leah, after my wife dies, he says, then I want to be married to you, because you can't be married to her now, because it's achis ishtay. But he says, when my wife dies, you should be betrothed from now. Here's a woman that's waiting for chalitza. Until she gets chalitza, she can't marry anybody, because there's a lavaloi siya, she's a mesa chutzelish zar. But Marshall is, he's an ambulance chaser. So he says, after you receive chalitza, you should be betrothed to me from now. Eina mekudeshes. Because it's considered like a davar shaloi b'laylam. Because these people are not available now, and you can't make a chalais on something that's not available now. Listen to this. Marshall tells his friend, Im yolda ishtecha nekeva. I like your family because you have Swiss bank accounts. So if your wife has a girl, I want her. Harizum mekudeshesli. Ain't mekudeshes, because the baby is not born yet. Oh. But what if the woman is pregnant and the baby is showing? That's already not so much a davar shaloi bala eilam. So if this Rockefeller, Mrs. Rockefeller, im haisa eishes kavera muberes, and v'hukah rubra, and the child is already noticeable, so that's considered like a davar shabala eilam. Dvar of kayamim, his words are upheld. The im yolda nekeva, and if she has a girl, mikudeshes. Finally, Marshall has a hope of becoming a Rockefeller. Now,
you're starting them young.
Yeah. Now, Tanan Hasam. Now, we all know that you can't take truma from something that's attached to the ground. It only has a chiyuv of truma when it's detached, right? And you can't take from p'tur ala chiyuv or for chiyuv ala p'tur. So therefore, Tanan Hasam, we learned it's probably in Masechtas Trumas. The first parak of Trumas. Tanan Hasam, Ein Tarmin min atala shalom mechuber. Dr. Black can't separate from that which is detached for that which is attached. V'im taram, and if he does take it, Ein Trumasa Truma. That's no good, because he can't take min achiyav ala p'tur. But here, what happens if Dr. Black does the following? By minei Rav Asim, Rabbi Yochanan, Amar Peris Arugazu Tlushim, the fruit of this uprooted furrow, Yiyu truma al peres aruga zu mechubarim. It should be truma for this furrow which is attached, or peres aruga zu mechubarim, the peres of this furrow that are attached. Yea, truma should be truma for al peres aruga zu tlushim, for this furrow that's detached. When? Likisha yitlashu. When it gets detached. So he says, right now, the fruit that are detached should be peres on these fruit that are attached when I detach them. Vinitlashu, and it gets detached. Mao. Amalei, well, he says, no, that he could do. Because kol shebiyadai, whatever is within his power, lav k'mechusamayisadami. That's not considered lacking in action. That's not considered a davar shaloi ba'la'olam. So there's one case in our Mishnah that causes us a problem. And that is where Chatzkel says, I'm betrothing you now when I convert. When I convert is within his power. When you convert, that's not in his power. When I'm freed, that's not in his power. When you're freed, it's not in his power. When your husband dies, it's not in your power. But when Chatzkel says, when I convert, that's in his power. And that's what the Gemara asks. Eisvei, after I convert. After you convert. After I'm freed. After you're freed. After your husband dies. After your sister, my wife, dies. After your Yovam gives you chalitza. Now in all of the other ones, it's not within his power. So Bishlam Mikulu la biyadai. Elager have biyadai. But a convert, that's within his power. He could convert. Elager have biyadai. So now the Gemara answers no. Because you need to have a bezdin. And the bezdin has to agree that he's roi for gerus. They have to feel his sincerity is proper. Ger nami la biyadai. Amar Reb Chia bar Abba, Amar Reb Yochanan. For Reb Chia bar Abba says in the name of Reb Yochanan, Ger tzarech shloisha. Ger needs a bezdin of 3. My time a mishpat ksiv bey. It says mishpat, so it's kedin where you need to have a bezdin of 3. Now you could learn simply like it's mashma from Rashi that, and who says he's going to be able to get those 3 people? Again, it's totally bi'aracherim. Or you could say they might, even if he could get 3, but they might think that he's not fit. Now, mi yemer de mizdakikele hani tlasa. Who says that these 3 will attend to him? Yes.
What was the Gemara's havamina that a guy's going to wake up and say, I want to become Jewish, and it's biyadai? It's not biyadai. It's a whole process. What's the Gemara's havamina?
The havamina is, even if it's a process, it's in his power. Yeah, he has to learn for 2 years. That's fine, but it's within his power.
But they have to accept him.
That's first of all, that's a chiddush, because you could say that if he does his due diligence, then they have to accept him. Now, Maskiv lo Reb Abba bar Mamo, as we start 3 lines from the top of Samach Beis Amid Beis, really accomplishing tonight. You know, every Matzah Shabbos, we get 2 blot of 2,711 blot. I mean, it's not a small thing at all. It's really amazing. And by the way, Rabbi Say, we have Kiddushin is over and on Daf Pei Beis. So that's 20 days. 20 days to starting Seder Nezikin. That means we're finishing Seder Nashim. Remember, we're finished now more than half of Shas. But more important, starting Seder Nezikin is such an opportunity for people to start. Bava Kama, Bava Metzia, Bava Basra, Sanhedrin. Really, you should talk to friends and get more people to join. Really, it's really a wonderful opportunity as we welcome in Zev Gutman, Shaya Bassman, and all these people that are joining us, Shaya, Zev. You could always come and join our family, and that's to join our family, our Zoom family, by going to zoomdaf.com during the week, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock from Sunday through Thursday. Yeah.
Get 'em on.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yitzi Mullah just sent me that we finish on Motzi Shabbos Parshas Vayera. That's going to be very interesting because I was invited to do a community-wide siyum in California for Shabbos Vayera. So it's going to be interesting how we do the Zoom from there. By that time, we'll have already changed the clock, right?
Stop in Chicago on the way back.
But by then, we'll have already changed the clock, correct? Gedalia?
November 4th.
November 4th. Yeah, so we'll have already changed the clock. So even if I have a 3-hour difference, we should be able to work it from California somehow or another. But we'll figure it out. I did it from Eretz Yisrael, so California should be able to be a piece of cake.
The times are changing that Motzei Shabbos.
That Motzei Shabbos?
Yeah.
It's coming earlier or later?
That's for Sunday. It's becoming earlier.
Yeah. Saturday night, Sunday, Motzei Shabbos, Parshas Vayera.
You get an extra hour that Motzei Shabbos.
Right, so that will work in our favor. Okay. All right, we'll figure it out.
Give her triple blood.
We'll figure it out.
Thanks, Saba.
Okay, now, asks the Gemara, Elameata, Hanoisim pruta l'shivchasai, if somebody gives a pruta to his maidservant, V'amar hariat mekishdeshes li la'achash ishtakrech, after I free you. So that should work, because he could free her. It's his shivcha. Hachanami David Kiddushin. Shouldn't it be a Kiddushin? And the din is, it's not. If he tells his shivcha Mary, I want you to be, while she's still a Eved Kananis, a shivcha Kananis, I want you to be betrothed to me. When I free you, it's not a good Kiddushin. So the Gemara says, you know why? Because she is completely a different creature. An Eved, what did Yitzchak tell Eliezer? Shvulachem po imachamor, amadoim lechamor. Beforehand, she's a behema, and afterwards, she's a human, a creation. So that's considered a davar shaloi haya ba'olam, even if it's biyadai. Asking Gemara ve'alahadam Rabbi Oishia, hanoisim prutal ishtay. Listen to this sweet guy. Oh, Marshall raised his hand. So Marshall tells Sprinza, he says to her, V'amar la hari at mikudeshesli la'achar she'agar sheikh. That's what he says to her. He says to her, Sprinzi, here's a pruta, you should be mikudeshes to me after I'm inevitably going to divorce you. I know living with you is impossible, but I can't live without you. So here's a pruta that you should be mikudeshes to me after I divorce you. So the din is Eina Megareshes. But why? Hachanami l'Reb Yochanan David Kiddushin. It should be a Kiddushin because it's within his power to divorce her. Says Gemara, it's within his power to divorce her, but it's not within his power to take her back. She might say no. Nehei de biyada the garshay. Biyada lekacha, is it within his power to be mekadisher? No. So that's why it doesn't work. I mean, she's not stupid, Shpinzi.
No, she'll marry me just for the bourbon.
Says the Gemara, well, tifshay debai Rabbi Ishia. We should resolve that which Rabbi Ishia inquires. What's Rabbi Ishia's inquiry? Hanoisen shtei prutais leisha, where Marshall gives 2 prutas to Shpinza. Oh, I'm telling you, Shpinza must be not so, not so swift. He gives 2 prutas to Shpinza. Ba'achas amala hiskachi li hayayim. With one he says, you should be mekadeshes to me today. Or ba'achas amala hiskachi li lacha shegarshe. And this is for when I ultimately divorce you, that you should be mekadeshes. He's doing this, talk about royas hanoilad. And listen to this Shpinza. He gives her 2 prutas. The Cheapy gives her 2 prutas. He says one is for now to be mekadeshes to me, and one is that you should be mekadeshes to me after I throw you out. Right? Now, l'chayr we should say that it's no good, because we just said that it's not biyadai, because even though he could throw her out, he can't get her back. It's not biyadai. Tifshit minad l'havi Kiddushin. And yet, Rabbi Ishia declares about this. So the Gemara says a big chiddush over here. We have a klal all throughout Shas of migu. That maybe migu, since you could do one thing, since you could affect one chalais, we allow you to affect the second chalais. So here, since he's able to be mekadesh her now, so therefore maybe we allow him to create the chalais for later too. And that's what the Gemara says. Dilma, ki echi de tafse kiddushin havshra, tase nami la'achake. So now the Gemara brings a raya to Rabbi Yochanan that if something is within your control, you could do it. Tani kavasi Rabbi Yochanan, ein tar min atol shal mechuber. Dr. Black can't take from that which is detached for something that's attached. Vim tarim, but if he does it, ain't trumas truma, because that's min achiyav al aptur, it doesn't work. Keitzad amar peres arugazu tlushin yir trumal peres arugazu mechubarim. The fruit of this furrow that's uprooted should be a truma for that which is attached. Or peres arugazu mechubaris, that which is attached. Yir trumal peres arugazu tlushim, that's no good. Lo yamaklum. Aval amar likishiyitlashu. If he says when I detach it, it should, this furrow that's detached should be truma for the furrow that is attached when I detach it, v'nitlashu, and he detaches it, then dvar kayam, because that's within his power. Yes, or al kei namar Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov. Rebbe Eliezer ben Yaakov adds more than that. Afilu amar peres arugazu tlushin. Even if Dr. Black says the fruit of this furrow which is detached, you truma al peres arugazu mechuberes, or peres arugazu mechuberes, this peres that is attached should be truma al peres arugazu tlushin, likishiyavo shlish, when it grows a third. It's not even a third yet. V'yitlashu, and I detach it. Ve'viu shlish v'nitlashu, and it reaches a third, and he detaches it. Dvar kayam. We don't say that since it's not a third yet, it's really even if it's not a third, it's still, if he says, or Dr. Black says, this furrow that's detached should be on this growing furrow that's attached, that when it grows a third and I detach it, it should be truma for it, it's good. But says the Gemara, that's only if it at least has grown enough to be animal food. It's only if, even though it didn't grow a third, it was grown enough that it's already animal food. So that's not a davar shelo yaya ba'olamai. Aval ba'agam, if it's only just sprouting, that it could bend over. Agam means that it could bend over, as we'll see. But it's not even animal food yet. Loy. Rabbi Yosef Amano, afilu ba'agam. Even if it's just something that's just started growing. Now, my mashma d'hai agam lishna debutzlano, who says that agam means that it's just high enough that it could bend over? Amar Abelazda, Amar Kra, halachayv ke'agman roishay. Will it bend its head like a rush, a bulrush? So we see that agam means when it just bends its head. Now, we learned in the Mishnah that if Marshall, Mr. Romantic himself, sees that Mrs. Rockefeller is pregnant, and he says, if she has a girl, I'm Mekadesh her. So, Kaman also the Tanya Haimer Lechaverim Yolda Ishtachon Nekeva. If your wife has a girl Mekadeshesli, Lama Klum, that's nothing, because she's not pregnant. V'amrav Chanin Lo Shalom Shein Ishta Muberes. Aval Ishta Muberes, but if she's pregnant, Devarav Kayamim, does the baby have to be showing? Now, come on. Ika Rabba, if it's like Rabba who insists that the crop has to be already shakas, it has to already be a shame dover, an identity, it has to be at least animal food, it has to be kishok rubra, the baby has to be already showing. Ika Rabbi Yosef, who says, no, it's even good if it's an agam, even if it's good it's merely sprouting, then afal pi shaloi hukar rubra, even if she's not showing. The Ika Damrei, Amar Rabba, Lo Amar Rabba Eliezer ben Yaakov, Ela b'shachas debei kivsha. That's only if it's animal food in a field that relies just on rainwater. So it's going to ultimately grow because it doesn't need any other facilitation. Aval b'shachas debei shakya, if it's an irrigated field, it might not get irrigated. So then it's not good enough when Dr. Block says, when it grows and I uproot it. So, Rav Yosef, even if it's animal food that grows in a irrigated field, but since it's within his power to irrigate it, so that's good. So, but everybody agrees it has to be shachas. It has to have an identity already as animal food. So, Kaman also had the Tanya Lechaverim Yolda Ishtachon Nekeva Mekadeshesli Le'amaklum. If he says, if your wife has a girl, she should be Mekadesh to me, but she's not pregnant, it's nothing. But if Mrs. Rockefeller is pregnant, but it's according to everybody, only if she's showing. Kaman Kishahukar Ubra, it's talking about Kaman, Kishahukar Ubra, it's only if it's showing B'divrei Hakol, because it's both of them agree that it has to be Shachas, it at least has to have already an identity, so she has to be already showing. Wow. Good job, Rabbi Say tonight, and Marshall, it's up to you now. You have your work cut out for you for this week. 15 more Zumas to a guy like you who gets cars from all over the universe. It should be a piece of cake.